welcome to our latest series, formerly known as SSB Pit Mob, where we dive into the world of backyard barbecue titans, those everyday heroes who turn their backyards into sizzling arenas of flavor and fun. We're not talking about celebrity chefs or culinary wizards here. We're shining the spotlight on regular folks, your neighbors, friends, maybe even you, who have mastered the art of grilling and smoking right in their own backyards. In this series, we'll chat with some amazing everyday guys and gals who bring passion, creativity, and a whole lot of heart to the barbecue game. Whether they're flipping burgers for a weekend gathering, slow cooking ribs for the family, or experimenting with the latest grilling gadgets, these backyard barbecue enthusiasts have stories that are rich as their secret rib rubs. So grab a cold drink, settle into your favorite chair, and get ready to hear about those moments that make barbecue more than just a meal. Like laughter shared over a smoky grill, the triumph of nailing that perfect brisket, and the joy of creating unforgettable memories with friends and family. Trust us, you'll leave inspired to fire up your grill and maybe even try out a few of their tips and tricks along the way. So let's smoke on. Welcome back. Another episode of Super Smoke Bros, and super excited for another segment of the Everyday Backyard Barbecue Titan. And our guest is from the great state of Alabama, Roll Tide, or maybe Northern might be Auburn, so I probably shouldn't say that. And we, I am extremely jealous of this man's arsenal that he has in his yard. And so we'll get a little more into that. But one of the groups that we're part of is the Smoke and Barbecue group, and we had Rob on here, the founder, last a few episodes back, and the connections we're making, the Super Smoke Bros, with the people, the great people of this group, Facebook group, has really brought a lot of interviews and just a lot of learning and community collaboration from the barbecue world. So it is my great honor to welcome Mr. Rob Dockery from the great state of Alabama. Welcome, Rob, to Super Smoke Bros.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. All right, Rob. So we're just gonna, like we were talking before we started here, this is my favorite segment to do, and we've had some pretty big time interviews on here, from Leanne Whippen to Tina Cannon, and the list goes on, Al Fragoni. But I love talking to just people that are passionate about barbecue, that do in their backyard. And I know you're passionate about it because you sent me some of your stuff and your greatness and that you have done back there. So we're gonna rock and roll here, so you can share your or not all your secrets, some of your secrets with our audience today. So Rob, everyone has their story, and this is my favorite question. Would you like to please share your story, your journey into the world of barbecue?
Sure. I guess I could say mine probably started when I was about 12, 13 years old. I had an uncle in Kentucky that I didn't know what it was all about first, but he had probably I would say a 500-gallon propane tank that he made into a huge smoker. So, and back in my days when we were young, any holiday come up, all the family come from everywhere. We'd all get together every holiday, and he'd always pull that smoker out. And he was a hunter, and he'd have oh man, he'd have deer, turkey, fish on there. I mean, you name it, he had it on there. Chickens, whatever. We had a feast every time. And I was always the only kid he'd let. I was the only one he would let. Um, he made a homemade mop sauce, and he'd say, "Hey, come here, help me do this." And I'd smell that smoke. I guess I was interested, and then started then. And I'd slap that mop on there, man. That stuff smells so good. And good thing is I have his recipe, which I'm not going to share.
I don't blame you,
Yeah, but
because I was going to
it's a
ask.
secret. Yeah, but he'd smoke all that. But I probably didn't start smoking until, oh man, I'd say about 10 or 12 years ago, when I really finally started getting. I started simple, just the old smoker I found on the side of the road, and
Mhm.
took it home, cleaned it up, and started using it. And first thing I smoked was about 10 racks of ribs.
Nice.
And yeah, so when I did that, then I'm like, hey, I think I can do this. And
Yeah.
ever since then, once you get the smoke in your blood, hey, it's over.
You are so spot on. Kind of once you get that in your blood, gosh, you're right, it's over, and I'm a true testament of that one. And I'm a little bit jealous of the opportunity you had with your uncle, to learn that and get that mop sauce. And I think that's one of the things that makes barbecue so special, is that
Oh
it
yeah.
is definitely a family thing. It is definitely a community thing, and those are memories you'll never ever forget, and then you can pass on to that family members of your own. So that is awesome, an awesome one, Rob. Thank you. So Rob, what is you talked about, you got your first thing was 10 racks of ribs. So
Yeah.
what is your favorite food though to smoke or barbecue, and why?
Uh, well, it's mostly between the Boston butts and the ribs, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with ribs.
Hmm.
Um, to me, I like doing the ribs. I do it the 3-2-1. To me, doing a Boston butt, that's probably one of the simplest things that you can
Hmm.
smoke. Is that it's so easy. But
Yep.
I'm the type of person I want a little challenge. My ribs they're different every time. They uh, I like the like I said the 3-2-1 method, and uh, sometimes I'll experiment. I experiment with different. I'll make my own seasonings. Sometimes put
Hmm.
on there, or I'll buy some seasons put on there. And I said, well, let me try this, and I'll try that. But to me, ribs is my favorite because it's just it's not a ribs is not a simple thing to do.
No. Mm-mm.
Because if you cook them too long, they fall off the bone, and if you cook them not long enough, then you're gonna be chewing them.
Hmm.
So, but I'd have to say ribs, and it's just to me, it's just fun doing the ribs because it's different every time you do it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I've said on previous podcasts, my Achilles heel in my barbecue is ribs. I love ribs. My family loves ribs. My daughters love them. But what you just said, I can't reiterate enough, is that they are different every time. And there's times where you don't want them to fall off the bone. You want them right to that middle point. But there's times where if you take them off too early, they're chewy. And
Oh yeah,
I'm getting better at them. At probably not the level you are at yet, but I think that's a favorite piece of meat of for almost anybody to smoke. But they're definitely the challenge. You wouldn't think ribs would be, but
mhm.
man, it's a challenge. They
Yes
are
it is.
sometimes. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So I am I'm like I can't wait to talk to you about this one, because you can, and I seen pictures of what you sent me, and that's why I told the audience I was super jealous. And so can you explain the grills, the smokers in your arsenal, and what's your favorite and why?
Man, as you know, I've got many. In fact, I ain't even got enough room. I have to pull 2 or 3 of them out just so I can get in there and cook, smoke stuff. I would say, and it's a simple one. It's just a charbroil smoker. That
Hmm.
to me, it's simple. I use wood in it. It's got the little firebox on it,
Hmm.
and uh, I've seen a lot of guys. I'm on several barbecue pages, and they spend these millions or not millions. I'm sorry, thousands of dollars, hundreds of
Hmm.
dollars on these big fancy grill. I'm like, all you need is a little simple, just a
Hmm.
little simple grill. And that's what I
Hmm.
started. Like I told you earlier, I started out with the little smoker I found on the side of the road. Was basically this is basically the same one, except a different one, but yet the same exact
Yep.
kind that I started out with. I like I'm a I guess you call simple man. I like it simple.
Yeah.
And but I just the charbroiler is probably my favorite.
Hmm.
It's just easier to maintain your heat and all that. So I would say that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, and it's funny how you said it so well, Rob, that barbecue is simple.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it, right? And I agree with you. Like my favorite smoker is one my students made me in fabricating class out of a 60-gallon drum, and they made a side box for me, a firebox and stuff, and it's like the charbroil. It's just simple, and you get great product every time, and I'm comfortable with it too, and that helps a lot. When you're comfortable with your tool, it makes it a little bit easier too.
Yeah.
So Rob, can you tell us about your smoke shack? I want to hear about it so bad.
Well, funny story. That smoke shack was a chicken house.
Oh, okay.
I built that to raise some chickens, and we had chickens for I don't know quite a while, and my mom ended up getting sick with cancer in Kentucky, so we kept going back and forth and couldn't find somebody to take care of my chickens, so I got rid of them. And then after a while, after my mom passed away, we come back, and then I got looking at it. I thought, what am I gonna do with this? And I thought, hey, I know what I had it because my wife's always complaining. You need to get these grills and smokers off the front porch. We ain't got room to walk out here. It don't look good. It looks like Cracker Barrel out here. I said, yeah, okay. So I went back to the chicken house. I got to looking and I thought, well, let's gut this thing out. So
Mhm.
I gutted it out. It took me 3 or 4 months to build it because I am disabled and I'm gonna do a little bit at a time. And so I did it. I took it down and I had everything in my head. And Lord, I don't know how many pallets that I had collected, probably 50 or 60.
Wow.
And it took me days I had to spend a week just to cut all the boards off, then take the saws off, cut all the nails off the boards
Mhm.
so you can break them.
Mhm.
And then I started just building on it and kept on. But like you seen it, everything in there's pallet wood. I've got maybe $60 in it, and that's just the screws I had to buy.
Mhm. Yeah, it's awesome. When our audience will see it, 'cause, I will put it up on, when I edit the video or the podcast here, I'll make sure as long as you're okay with it, I put it up on,
Yeah,
and so people can see it. It is awesome. I was like, oh, I wish I had the space to do it in my place. I just don't. And I'm like, that is it's so cool. So cool.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely, and our audience will see why you love it because it's pretty awesome. That's,
Well,
hats off to you.
like I said, I joined a lot of barbecue groups on my phone, on the apps on Facebook, and one of them is called Shacks and Shanty or something like that, barbecue people. And
Mhm.
you show your shack what you built. I put mine on there. It had over, oh man, within 2 days, had over 20, 30,000 views. And
Oof.
everybody says, I'd rather have that shack than building a big fancy one outside because it just looked like, hey, that's the thing to get in, a glass of tea. Of course, they drink beer or whatever. And they said, that's
Yeah.
just a place I'd rather be.
Yep. Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it is. It's as, but I guess when you picture a barbecue shack, that's what comes to my mind. And it's like, is I saw that and it's like, oh, that is like essential barbecue right there. It's so awesome, you know. And so this is a good one too. And this question I didn't start with when we started this podcast, but I've incorporated it, and because it's we've all had our stories, and some of the stories that we've heard have been just funny, but just phenomenal, and how you learn from those. So, Rob, can you recall a time when a food you smoked did not turn out? Please explain why and how you adjusted the next time you attempted this food.
Oh, that happened just about 2 or 3 days ago. I
Yep.
was actually smoking one of the easiest meats there is to smoke, a Boston butt. I ruined it. And I guess it's one of the days I wasn't feeling too good or something because it was windy. When it's windy, man, it's hard to smoke meat. And of course,
Yep. Hmm.
you know that too. And um, oh man, I was smoking a Boston butt. And I thought, man, I had a beautiful bark on it, had everything right. I smoked it with some oak wood, a little piece of cherry wood, and a little bit of apple wood because I want that
Hmm.
little sweetness in there too. Had it
Hmm.
seasoned right, and I'd go out there with apple vinegar and apple cider vinegar and spray it every hour. And
Hmm.
I always cook mine at 275. And I do it low and slow, 8 to 10 hours,
Hmm.
get it 205 to shred it, but. I
Hmm.
got out there, I thought, man, it's looking good. The smoke smells good. And but I did notice my pan looked a little bit darker than it should.
Hmm.
And when it finally got done, I brought it in. I told my wife I was so proud. I said, look at this, best bark I ever done on here. We bite
Hmm.
of that thing, and it's just like eating a jar of that liquid smoke.
Oh man.
Something happened, I don't know where, but my fire, either the smoke turned gray on me and wasn't out there to pay attention, and it
Hmm.
tainted my meat.
Oh man.
And I'm like, you know what? I ain't wasting this meat. I'm gonna eat it anyway. I chunked it and ate it. So it's, but that was my worst. That was just the
Mhm.
other day.
And it's amazing. It's like, and everything looks perfect, like you said. I mean, that has happened to me where everything looks great, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, oh, this stinks. What happened? You know? Um, and I don't know if you have, this is kind of a follow-up question, what you mentioned, and I don't know if you have a technique or not, but you talk to our listeners. So this happens, when you get that gray smoke, and then that's when you get the overpowering, too smoky for me
Yeah.
taste. Is there a technique you use that if you start seeing that gray smoke, you can um, that you do to get it back to the smoke that you want?
Most times if I catch it, I'll either open the chimney up all the way or I'll just open up the smoker, just open the lid up, let it out. Because
Okay.
just open up the chimney to me is you're still letting it flow through there. So for me, the best thing to do is open that lid, let it go, get it
Hmm.
off there as quick as you can because it will taint your meat quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't take long at all. That's good
Yeah.
because I'm always looking for advice, and that tip is great because I'm sure I know some of our listeners has happened to, and like what I'll do is just open up my door right away, and just try to get as much air and
Yeah.
hit that like you do too as well, and just get that gray smoke out of there. So thank you, Rob. I'm sorry that was a little off the script, but you
That's
mentioned
okay.
it, and I'm like, I know something that can help a barbecuer. So uh, moving along here, what is some advice that you would love to give our listeners that you wished you would have known when you started this barbecue junior journey?
Uh, don't act like you know it all.
Mhm. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the number one thing.
Mhm.
And don't get where you're smoking meat and think you're the best. And because I went through this, and sometimes I still have a problem. Just because I
Hmm.
smoke meat, it's hard for me to go to other barbecue state restaurants and eat their barbecue
Mhm.
because I have an issue. I'll eat it like, oh, I would have done it this way, or I would have done it that way, or no, this ain't good. And they're just like us. Yeah, a lot of restaurants use the machine smokers, but
Mhm.
don't be judgmental of other people's meat they smoke. And always
Mhm.
be willing to say, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, next time you do this, why don't you try this? I've tried this and it worked. Why don't you try
Mhm.
this? And I have done that to some friends, and they're like, man, that's the best thing you ever told me. But yeah,
Mhm.
don't act like you know it all, and don't be judgmental of everybody else's meat when they smoke.
Yeah, that's like perfect advice. That's great advice, because like when you were saying that, I was thinking we have a restaurant here and they have the best smoked wings I've ever had. They're so
Mhm.
good, but I tend to stay away from their barbecue because just like you said, I would start being judgmental. And
Yeah.
then I caught myself. I said, I can't do that. And I was a victim. I did it. I'm guilty. And I won't do it anymore. And I'll still try things because you're right. They all started off like we did, and some just try to take it to the next level and they need that support too. So that's a really good advice too about like if you're just to give it like, hey, maybe I tried this before, and that way don't come off like you know it all and just like, hey, try it if you want.
Yeah.
That's excellent advice, Rob. Very, very good. Because I am guilty as charged. So with that too. um, so is there so with your experience, back from with your uncle and the mops and starting off your journey with mopping, is there a favorite tool or item that you recommend to our listeners that will make their backyard barbecue maybe just a little bit easier?
Oh man, that was probably one of the hardest questions, and I had a hard time answering because I really like everything I use,
Yeah, me too.
and there ain't nothing out there that I don't use. So, oh man, I'll say, oh man, that is a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't get. I don't think I sent you a picture of everything inside, but I've got all kind of tools that I use.
Mhm. Well, maybe do you wanna talk about a couple of the tools that you use on a regular basis?
When I do cook a lot on my griddle, and I got what they call a shovel. I use it a lot, but
Mhm,
uh, if you're smoking meat, probably one of my best tools will be the heat gloves.
mhm. Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, I used to pick them up, meat with just a regular Playtex glove or something on. I'm like, man, that's
Mhm.
so hot.
Yeah,
And
it is.
I watch old Malcolm on How to Barbecue Right, and he's like,
Mhm,
you got these gloves. I'm like, man, where'd you get them gloves? So I got
mhm,
me a pair of them cotton gloves and put the other gloves over them. you don't burn your hands. I can shred the meat. I can set a whole piece of meat that's hot and don't even burn you. So I would
Hmm.
say probably them cotton gloves be my most tool and best tools that I use.
Oh, that is great because that is often so overlooked, Rob. You're so
Yeah.
spot on, man. Because I do the same thing, cotton gloves and put the black gloves over them, and it makes your life so much easier.
Oh yes, it does.
Yeah, because I was like you many times where I pick up that meat and it's just burning, but I'm like, nope, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, that was dumb. Why did I do that? So you kind of said this already, but the second part of this question, your go-to temperature for low and slow is 275. So do you have any advice on how to maintain that temperature when you're with your offset?
Well, if you got one thing I have learned about that is if you have a smoker, when you use it, watch see if you're losing any smoke out of the sides or out of your firebox. Because I got one smoker that's really hard to maintain the temp because you need a good seal around that door. If you're losing
Hmm.
smoke, you can buy a seal that's for smokers and put on there, and that will help you. To me, that I can maintain my heat a whole lot better on that. And if it's a windy day, do like I did, get a piece of metal or plastic, make you just a door,
Hmm.
close it up where because wind hits it, it's gonna give you the
Yeah.
gray smoke. It's gonna
Hmm.
really mess you up. You're gonna be out there fighting it instead of being easy.
Yeah.
And I don't like fighting when I'm smoking. I rather just put on there and on my smoker, the one that's sealed good, I can go out there and 2 hours later come back and I'm still showing a 275-degree temp.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
and I'll look and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna add just a little more charcoal because I love charcoal more than anything.
Yeah, so do I.
And so I'll add two or three little bricks on it, and then I'll go back in and come back out another couple hours, and it's still at 275.
Wow.
So mainly just watch how much smoke you're losing out of your smoker.
Hmm.
Because
That's a
you,
great advice. Because that's something I'm thinking like, oh, because I'm gonna fire mine up tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I'm like, and you just said that. I'm like, I need to check my seal. I might have to buy a new
yeah,
seal.
yeah,
And that's, I wouldn't have even thought about that unless you mentioned it. And so thank you. That's some really great advice. Really, the wind is such a game changer. And
it,
when
it's your
it's
enemy.
really, yeah, yeah, when it's windy, I go to my pellet, and I put the smoke tubes in and stuff like that. And I'm like, at least I know it's going to get enough fuel and maintain because otherwise it's going to be if I don't have the time, it's not worth it for me because I'll ruin some meat. So great advice. So our next question here is there a type of barbecue or maybe a location that you have just fallen in love with, or you try to get to, or maybe it's on your bucket list you want to go to?
I would say that, well, being smoking meats and I've ate a lot of barbecue, but I would say I would love to go to Texas.
Hmm.
One is to meet old Franklin on I don't know if
Yeah.
you know who he is, Franklin
Oh
out
yeah.
on barbecue. I mean, I've
Hmm.
watched him a lot, and I'd love to go to his restaurant and try it out. And
Hmm.
I've learned a lot from him and smoking meat, but I would say it would be that. Uh,
Hmm.
either go there, or go to Memphis, and uh, meet up with old Malcolm on how to barbecue right, and just do
Yep.
barbecue with him. I'd rather go. I'd rather go to people that I see smoking meat than I would going to a restaurant.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm
And
I'm with you 100%. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, you see these people on TV, so let's go try their things. And what I've learned about the barbecue world is, let's like you and I, we start talking barbecue, and it's instant. Like we have that connection, and
yeah,
that's even with the big timers that you see on TV. I know not all,
uh,
but most of them, everyone that we've interviewed has became I can't say a good friend, but has become a really good acquaintance where I'll text like Miss Tina Cannon. Hey, how do you do? Like, I'll never forget. I was doing some fish. So one of my students brought some fish over to me, and I was in Spokane. I wasn't really know how, so I text her, and she just called me and talked to me for half an hour. And then you get that and so like I want to see her someday, and see those people that you connect with. So that's such a great. Yeah, Texas is my bucket list. I want to do a little tour of Texas. Franklin's is one of them. So And
Yeah.
so hopefully one of these days. So Rob, probably, as I found out with a lot of listeners, this is the favorite round. It's called the sizzle round, where it's kind of like this is kind of where I leave it up to our guest that I'll give you a question and you can just say what your favorite is and move on to the next one, or you can say what your favorite is and elaborate. It's completely up to you with
Right.
it with these things, and you may not have one too as well, but it's kind of what I found for our listeners. The feedback we have received is that this really ties in and makes everyone really connects them with what they're doing at home and things like that. So that's why we love to do this sizzle round. So you ready, Rob?
Yes, sir.
All right. So sizzle round. What is your? And you kind of talked about this. I might have to get rid of this question, but your favorite cut of meat to smoke?
Gonna be ribs. Number
Yes,
one,
sir.
always, always.
Always, always. Yep. Now your go-to rub for barbecue.
Oh man. Uh, I would have to say, and I don't know about, it's just called butt rub. I get it from a normal regular grocery store right down the road from me. That's probably my favorite rub. It's not even that's the name of it, butt rub. Just got a picture of a pig on the front, so I would say it'd probably be that one. You can
Awesome.
use it on ribs, you can use it on the butts. It's you can use it on
Mhm.
anything. So I would say that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I love those universal rubs you can always go to use on anything. So now this is a little tougher one here. Is there a side dish that you prepare that you think is the best on your smoker, or maybe
I
off your
would,
smoker?
I
So,
would say smoked potato salad.
ooh, that sounds good.
Oh, it is.
I'm like, ooh, I never did that before. Might have to
Yeah,
try
oh,
it.
man, you try it, you'll be doing it all the time.
Yeah, I will. I will. Maybe that's tomorrow. Um, do you have a favorite barbecue sauce?
Well, yeah, my own.
Oh, that's awesome.
I make my own, and I sold some to the church I go to, but I make a Carolina vinegary mustard, like a
Oh,
tangy sauce.
yes.
In fact, the guy that was buying it from me, he said, "Man, that stuff's so good." He said, "If I get hungry, I just dip bread in it and eat it like that." He said, "It's that good." And
Oh,
but
wow.
it's a recipe that I just come up with and started making. But of course, we all know the Carolina vinegar is up what Carolinas, I think,
Mhm.
that up in that area does that. But I like something a little tangy. Everything
Mhm.
me and my wife cook, I promise, she's got some kind of spices we put in it. So I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna make a barbecue sauce.
That's
And I
awesome.
tried it and let people at church try it. They're like, yeah, I want 2 or 3 jars of this. And but yeah, I would say the Carolina vinegar mustard sauce.
Oh, I love the Carol oh, my wife and I are big fans of the Carolina sauce. Um, and we love the mustard sauces, so that's right up our alley. I like how you talked about how you kind of like, you developed yourself, a little wife help with your wife and stuff like that. That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Um, so your preferred fuel or wood to smoke with?
I would say oak wood and charcoal.
Mhm.
That's my favorite fuel. And like I said, I do have I've got about all the kind of woods I got out there to smoke with, but I mostly use oak wood, and charcoal, then apple and cherry. That's probably I'm gonna say that's my four mains all
Awesome.
the time.
Awesome.
And it's important what you're smoking too, what you want to use. So that's
Yep.
something you got to know. You want a hardwood, or you gonna smoke it with this, or you want a little sweet. But
Mhm.
that would be my go-to.
Awesome, yeah. You're right, you have to know what you're smoking to use, that's a great tip. Do you have a favorite beverage, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, doesn't matter, that you, like, always go to, when you're in your smoke shack?
Oh, from the South, we're all about sweet tea.
Yep. Mhm. Yeah, mine's like Dr. Pepper. I love Dr. Pepper. I'm not a big soda person, but Dr. Pepper, that's what I go to every time, when I started up, and once in a while an adult beverage in there too as well. But anyway, so this is my favorite because it's so and the answers are just a wide variety. But is there do you do you listen to music, or do you have a go-to radio station, streaming service, or band, or anybody that you listen to while you're in that smoke shack of yours?
Oh yeah, I've got my 103.5K Love Gospel music cranked up here. In fact, that's the first thing I do. I go out there, I've got everything put into a
Mhm.
plug where I just pop a button, everything comes on,
Yeah.
and I got my music going because gotta have that music going, man.
Yeah. I think it's a staple for barbecuing.
Oh,
You have to have
yeah,
music going in the background and stuff like that. So
yeah.
that is awesome. So, Rob, that does bring us to the end of our interview, but I always like if like, at the end, is there anything else you like to share or talk about, on your journey, or things you've learned that you want to, maybe, I always say that if you help one barbecuer out there, and I think with some of the advice you have given, you definitely help me out there. It is so worth it, as well. So,
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to mention or talk about?
I would say one of the biggest thing is don't get in a hurry when you're smoking the meat. Take your time. If you're gonna have to hurry up and smoke it because you got other things to do, then the best thing to do is not even smoke that meat because you're gonna
Hmm.
ruin it.
Yep.
So only do it on days that you know, hey, days of a day off. I'm gonna take my time, go smoke the meat and enjoy it. And but don't ever get in a hurry. You get in a hurry, I promise you, you're gonna ruin that meat.
Hmm. Yeah, you are definitely. That is great, great advice, because I fell victim to that when I first started. You know, and I've quickly learned that barbecue will get done when barbecue wants to get done. So, and that's good. That's one of the great things about barbecue for sure. So, well, Rob, anytime you ever want to come back on, do you reach out? We can get you on a regular episode too, of like with all the guys on here too. You are a absolute pleasure to have and an honor to have on here. So anytime you want to come back on, just let me know. Or if there's a recipe that you want to come on and talk about, love to have you. And so, like all our episodes here, we have our guests end with smoke on. So, Rob, if you want mind saying smoke on, we'll end our interview today.
All righty, everybody, smoke on.